if somebody is mildly interested, like, hey, they saw you do it and they're interested in possibly doing it themselves, would you recommend that they do it?
Oh, that's a great question. How do I answer it without being egotistic? If you're not realistic to what the industry is, you're going to keep doing the wrong things and you're going to be setting yourself up for failure. You need to understand what the industry is doing to know how to break in and how to do well within it.
Welcome back to another episode of the IndieFilm Insider podcast. Today, Jake and I are talking with local filmmaker Jeff Fong. Jeff is a Sacramento-based filmmaker who runs the Modest Film Society, a film festival that happens monthly in Sacramento, California. He's also a prolific filmmaker in his own right. In addition to doing several high-concept short films, he also did a 52-week challenge, where he would make a new short film every single week with the topic decided by a dice roll. In addition to that, he's a full-time owner and operator of 2 different production companies. This is a great conversation with Jeff, whether you want to get into more film festivals, even create your own film festival, or just improve your craft as a filmmaker. I think this episode will definitely have value for you. So without further ado, let's hop right into our conversation with Jeff Fong. All right, Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And for anyone who isn't aware of kind of you or some of the work that you do, can you just give a brief introduction about like who you are and what you do within the world of film?
Sure, yeah. My name is Jeff Fong. I've been a filmmaker for 24 years now. I'm a lot older than I look. I've been making films right here in Sacramento for a very long time. I worked in the industry in LA for a few years when I was in my 20s. Um, I have a production company called the Film Squad. I run a film group called Modest Film Society, more of a film community where we try to screen films made by local filmmakers. Also, it's going to eventually be more of an education place as well to help teach filmmaking. Um, yeah, I'm always writing, always making films. I've made a feature. I've made a lot of short films. Made a web series. Just always making stuff, always writing, and always trying to make the next thing. Yeah.
Nice. I want to kind of jump right into the thing that I found most striking about your content, because this is like a crazy project you did where you did 52 short films, like one a week for, a year. So can you what can you tell us about that? Like what gave you that idea and why did you want to pursue that?
Yeah, that came from a time in my life where I was like, what am I doing as a filmmaker? I was questioning myself a little bit as that's like, I've been doing this for so long, yet I wasn't feeling like I was where I wanted to be as a filmmaker. And then I started questions like, have I done enough? And, there's a lot of sayings of like what it takes to have enough experience to be an expert at certain things. And when you think about like, I believe it's a Japanese philosophy of like 10,000 hours makes you an expert at something. And I was like, well, a lot of filmmakers do not have that amount of hours as directing on set. You really, how often are you actually directing? Most of the time, you're actually spending most of your time trying to make a thing, and then you have such a limited window of time where you're actually doing the act of directing. And I started to think about my childhood as I used to just make little films with my brother for fun, and it was just to do that. It was for fun. We had so much. We had so much fun just making things. And as I've gotten older, I started to realize how that fun has slowly been stripped away by this need to get funding and make things and make people like what you're making so that they give you money or buy things, and the art of it and like the passion of it can easily get lost when you get into like the reality of what it is to be in the film business. And so I really needed to kind of check myself. And so I was like, what can I do to kind of spark that passion again? And I was like, I just need to make things for fun. I need to make things and not care what people think, not care what I think about it. I just need to do it and ideally get all the people around me that I care about that are also into filmmaking to be a part of it and just have a great time doing it. And so I've put big challenges like these in front of myself and throughout my life where it's like go big or go home pretty much. And so I was like, okay, then I'm going to prove to myself that I can do this big monumental task. I'm going to make a film every week because I know I'm capable. I know I have the resources and I know I have the connections to do it too. And if I can't do this, and it's proving to myself maybe I shouldn't be doing this anymore. And so so I started doing that. started really big, going like way too hard in the beginning, and even making all of this behind the scenes and stuff every week along with the film, and realized that I couldn't keep up with that. And so then it's just like make the film every week, and then make a little trailer, make the film, and then instantly into the next one. And I tried to give myself little challenges where I was like rolling dice to see what topics I would make the films about, and I was trying to get other people's input as to like what these topics could be. But that was actually a strategic move. It was I was doing that to be held accountable by putting it out to the world that I'm going to be making a film every single week, and asking people to contribute in this type of way. It then put even more pressure on me to actually do it. And that pressure actually was monumental to me actually fulfilling what I wanted to do, because there were times where I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it this week. I'm busy, whatever. But I was like, if I don't, then, I let down certain people that were expecting me to do it. And then on top of that, a new thing happened where a lot of people were getting motivated by what I was doing. And they were telling me, hey, I see you're making one every week. I haven't made one for a year or two or three or whatever. I can at least make one. And they would go off and make stuff. And then they were kind of like cheering me on while they're getting motivation to go. So then I had another layer of like, now these people that are motivated by me are making stuff, so I can't let them down too. So it grew into like a beautiful experiment for myself. And then I did it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And like in terms of people being motivated by you doing the challenge, would you like if somebody is mildly interested, like, hey, they saw you do it and they're interested in possibly doing it themselves, would you recommend that they do it? Or are there like stipulations, like if you like work more than whatever hours a week, like would you recommend anybody do this, or does it take a specific type of person?
Oh, that's a great question. How do I answer it without being egotistic? I don't want to be. I wouldn't recommend it because it's not easy to do if you don't have experience.
Sure.
Like I did this because I believed in myself that I had the experience to know how to pull it off. But there were plenty of times where the only ways I was able to do it is because I knew exactly what to do and how to film it really fast, compared to if someone was new, they wouldn't know how to do things that quickly, and they would be spending a lot of time every week to do it. Like there was plenty of weeks where I just pumped it out in like a day. Almost always there's there was a large amount of films that I edited and shot all in the same day. And that's, if someone's a beginner, they can't do that. And if they do, it's not going to be very good, and they're going to have very low expectations of themselves. So like I wouldn't suggest it. I would suggest creating a challenge for yourself that you're capable of in whatever capacity that is. So if you do think you've got that experience and you have the connections of people that would show up for you in those ways, then sure, go for it. Try it. I would love it if someone else tried to do it and see what they could do too. But I would warn creatives not to burn themselves out or get disappointed, because a big part of me is like I have a big heart for creatives, and especially in the film world where people are so passionate, but they also have such imposter syndrome where they worry that they're not good enough or people won't like it, and then they shit on themselves pretty much, and then they stop or they quit. So I wouldn't want people to get burnt out. Because I did plenty of times. I got burnt out. There was multiple times, I think 2 different weeks where I was so close to quitting, where I actually had people in my life be like, just don't do it. Just skip a week. Just skip a week. And I was like, you don't understand. I was like, I have to do it,
Yeah.
and, so that would be my recommendation is like, you should push yourself and challenge yourself as a filmmaker, but find the ways that you're held accountable. Like I'm held accountable by other people, and then setting these expectations, and I know that works for me, but that might not work for everybody else.
Yeah, because like when
I don't know.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
We've been doing this for almost a year and still haven't figured out how to not talk over each other. Because when I think about like one short film a week for a year, my mind immediately goes to like not necessarily low effort short films, but like you can't put like a ton of time into them because you only have a week to do it.
Hmm.
Obviously there are probably some films that you are happier with than others, probably especially those the 2 weeks. I would imagine you didn't make the best stuff just because you were so burnt out on it. But like when you thought of that and you said like make a goal you can achieve, my mind immediately went to, okay, I want to try this, but one a month instead of one a week. But
Hmm.
then I honestly think I would start putting way more production into it than I probably realistically could if I had a month to do it. Um,
Sure.
so, because like if I have a month to do a thing, I'd probably spend like, yeah, I have a week to shoot it. Sorry, a week to write it, maybe 2 weeks to write it, 1 week to shoot it, 1 week to edit it. That'd probably eclipse the, I guess, scope that I would be comfortable in while doing the challenge. Um,
Hmm.
Generally, for the films that you made, how would you say, I guess, much effort you put into them?
Yeah, it shifted every week. It shifted
Mm-hmm.
depending on how much availability I had, and um, if I had resources to push me further. A lot of people helped me. Um, a lot of my friends came in at clutch moments, family as well. So it really depended on what the subject matter was and if I knew it was going to be narrative or not. I ended up making
Mm.
a good chunk of these as like mini docs about my life or about things that were happening. Like there was one week where I was in Bali and I was like, I have to make a film while I'm in Bali. Like, how do I pull this off? And I brought one of my cameras with me and I made a little mini doc about being in Bali and like and so it really depended on if I knew what was going to be what the topic was because again like I was rolling dice to see what the two like I asked
Mm-hmm.
people to fill out this list of like 100 items or whatever or things, not items, that I could be making a film about, and this all came from a English teacher's writing exercise that they had me do in my sophomore year of high school, where like we started the writing class with 5 minutes of just writing a story with two about two things. It doesn't matter what these two things are, but you have to just fill out a page of paper, handwritten, of a story. And I loved doing this because it's like, do you take two things, scarf and tissue, and like now you have to make a story about it, and like you have to rush to do it. And so that was my challenge. I was like two things, and I gave myself an hour to write a short about it. And that's what I did actually for the vast majority of them. Not all of them. There was some where I kind of couldn't when I knew it was like again more documentary, autobiographical. I rather than writing a script, I wrote about what is this about, and then approached it in that way as well. So yeah, the what I put into it constantly changed. That's for sure.
Do you have a favorite one that you did?
I was about to ask that.
it's it's probably either number one
Hmm.
or there are two other ones. There's a black and white one I did with my friend Matt. That's like a film noir one
Mm.
that I think we did that phenomenally well, and he killed it. And him and I play Dungeons and Dragons together. So I'm the DM, he's a player, so he's always doing silly voices. So it kind of worked out perfect. They're like, hey, be an actor. Let's see what you can do. And he went all
Mm.
out. So that one I had a lot of fun with. I'm really happy with the look of it because I've always loved film noir, and I've actually never made like a film noir film, and then did it with like literally two little scorpion lights that I have. He's like not even like high wattage at all, but just using really harsh contrast and using street lights and stuff, and just the two of us doing it and killed it. So I love that one. But the first one is really special because that I went all out. We went to San Francisco. We went to the beach. We cast four people, two of which needed to look like they're like a woman was like an older version of the other one. Two different production days, had a decent crew. Like that was stupid to do that for the first one because set myself up for like, okay, we knocked it out of the park, but then you can't keep doing this, you know. But what's really crazy is I could like if I had the resources, like if my schedule was slightly more flexible and if I was like getting paid to do this kind of a thing, or I was making enough money where I could do this. I actually could do what I was able to do in that week. It wasn't that hard because I was able to call upon so many people like quick, and they were like, "Let's do this. This is awesome," and people were stoked. So yeah,
If you
it's
do
either the
that
first
every week
one.
for a year straight, they're like, "Oh my god, this guy again."
Yeah, well, you changed it up. Like I thought about it because if you think about it, like people are posting videos every day because they're streaming video games online. You know, streamers do this all the time. They have editors doing it. If you had an editor that was editing on a consistent basis, that's their job. If your job was to make a film every week, that's your job. So you could do it, you know? So it's perspective matters in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, I would say either number one or shoot, the black and white one's within the first few weeks, so I have to go look. I forgot what number it is, but it's one of those two.
Yeah, I think I did watch the first. I watched the first like 3 of them.
Okay.
And the first one I did notice, I was like, whoa, like if all of these look like that, then that's like crazy.
Yeah, that's
because
insane.
yeah, you did a good job on the first one.
Thanks.
And yeah, so I just think that like this is definitely inspiring, obviously, because it's just 52 short films. I think between Owen and I think we've done maybe, I don't even know, like 10 or less ish,
if that,
short
yeah.
films. So
Cool.
it's something like that. And so I mean, I think that like this is I think first off, if you're watching this and you like want to check it out, like definitely go check it out. It's the 52 saga.
Saga.
And it's just, I don't know, it's just, I think that a challenge like that is really good to, I guess, work out your skills and stuff. Do you think that you improved after each one? Like, was there a noticeable improvement from week 1 to week 52, you think?
The number one thing that improved the most was me caring about what people thought. By the end of it, I gave no shits. Like by week 4 or 5, I already wasn't, and that was the biggest feeling of like, you know, a lot of people go like, oh, I don't care what people think, but as a filmmaker you kind of do. You kind of hope people will watch it. You kind of need people to. That's the weirdest part about our industry, is you need people to like what you do. You do, like, or else no one's going to watch. And then what happens if you want a career? You need people to buy things that you make in this. So you kind of do need people to like it, but that feeling of validation is what's unnecessary, of making something and feeling like you need people to like it so that you feel good about yourself. That's the part that isn't necessary. And I realized within the first few of like, oh, like people were like, oh, are you caring how many people watch it or like it? I was like, I'm not even looking at the numbers, because I posted on Wednesday and I'm already writing the next one. Like I had no time to even care. I literally couldn't. And the coolest thing that happened was the imposter syndrome that kind of stops you sometimes from creating what you want to create, where maybe you're halfway in or you started really well. A lot of creatives do this. They're like, we have this great idea, we love it so much, and then we start into it, and then we start to doubt it. Then you start to wonder if people will like it, and then you start to wonder, and then you kind of pull back. Like I couldn't do that. I had to follow through, and I had to post whatever it was. Like there's plenty of times where I was like, oh, I want to change these things. You know, like some shots might not have looked great, but I was like, I have to. And that was the most freeing experience as a filmmaker, as a creative, of realizing how true it is that you don't need to care what people think, because by not caring, you're able to achieve so much more. And I was able to do this. So that's my biggest takeaway that I learned, was how important it was to not care about those things and only to really care about why I'm doing it. As a filmmaker, as a director, I mean, you're always learning. I think I'm always learning, no matter what. You should always be learning. Like, if anything, this whole making 52 in a year should prove like I did 52 and I still have so much more to learn. Like it's an endless game, but you should only be participating if you want to participate in this long-term game of like getting better as you go. So yeah, there's plenty of things I learned. If anything, though, it was reminding myself what I was capable of, and then ending it with a really good finale that not only made me happy, but proved to myself again what I was capable of.
Yeah, I think something that a lot of people could definitely take away from this too is like, I think a lot of filmmakers get caught in the trap of always trying to one up themselves.
Mhm.
Which of course isn't necessarily a bad thing, but like if you continually put more effort and time and resources into your next film than your last one, you kind of just get to like, okay, the gap between my first and second film is 2 weeks, and then it's a month for my second and third, and then it's 3 months, and then you kind of keep going, and your films get better and you get better at it, but the gap between the releases or the completion starts to widen a lot. And obviously the point of the 52 challenge is volume, right? You every single film that you make, you probably learn something new or develop a new skill or add a new shot to your kind of database of shots you can make. And I think that I'm definitely going to try some of this out, at least kind of lowering the scope of some of the films that I make, instead of trying to do like a 8 page, like I need 6 people on crew, I need to rent XYZ piece of gear. I'm just going to try making one like next week in my house with my camera and just kind of see
Mhm.
how it goes. Just try something
Mhm.
that I haven't really done before.
Great. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, remind yourself why you do it. I mean, that's the whole point for me. Was like, why do I love making films? Like, I think there's a big phenomenon right now, and there's been one ever since HD cameras came out of like making films and like putting films out there, and people are just doing it to do it. But then when you ask them why, people don't have many answers for that. They're just doing it. They're just doing it. They think it's cool or whatever. But it's like, I think when you ask yourself, what is your mission? What's that? What's like at stake for you as a filmmaker? Why are you doing this? Why are you called to do it? Like, I feel like that's a really important question for people to ask themselves.
And then, so I mean, I don't want to make this podcast the entire thing about the 52 saga. So I do want to ask you about. We'll talk about like all your stuff too, but I want to talk about next. I think Modest would be good because
Mhm.
I think that's also really cool too. And in our area especially, Sacramento maybe is not known for being this filmmaking hub like Los Angeles is. So tell us about Modest and like sort of why you started that and I guess the philosophy behind it.
Yeah. I was missing the type of relationships within the film community that I had when I was in LA. Again, as a writer, it's a very isolating experience. But when I was in LA, there were writers everywhere. There were filmmakers
Hmm.
everywhere. There's actors everywhere. There was no shortage of film people you could be around to feel inspired or motivated by. But then when I was here, I really wasn't feeling that at all. It was hard to find people. I knew a lot of film people, but they were all in their own little pockets. And I would hear people
Hmm.
say, like, oh, these people aren't very good, or everyone kind of talked shit about each other. And
Yeah.
I was just like, this, and then yet everyone will also have all these big egos about how great they were, but then I'm like, none of us have done anything spectacular to have such an ego. So it's like
Hmm.
I was getting kind of fed up, and I was talking to my girlfriend at the time about how I was like, I know all these people. I like, there needs to be a place. And it was a conversation with her where she was even like, why don't you create that then? If you're complaining about it all the time, pretty much, if you're stressing about it, why don't you do it? And I was like, honestly, I guess I should. Because I did think about myself. I was like, I knew enough people in and around Sacramento in the film world that I think I would be at least decently credible to start something, to say, hey, everyone, come together here. And the whole point with the name was me saying to her, I was like, what's the opposite of ego? Because that's what needs to stop. I was like, it's a big detriment to the film society and the film world is the feeling that you need to have a big ego, that you need to know so much in order to feel relevant.
Mm.
And unfortunately, the film industry creates that standard. Like, people see the Oscars, they see celebrities, they see rich people, and they see them knowing all this stuff and doing all these things. And they see these young prodigies that come out at 21, and then they're like, oh my God, they're a genius. This is what you should be in order to succeed in this industry. You should be young, you should win an Oscar, and you should make millions of dollars, and you should know everything. And that's such an unrealistic expectation to put on the youth, on young artists who believe, and anyone that actually wants to be a filmmaker, in order to say like that's what it takes to be successful in this industry. That's not fair, but at the same time, that's what a lot of people grow up thinking they should do and think. And so I really hate how that is plagued within our world. And so I was like, I want this group to be the opposite of that. I want it to be the opposite of like the competition of film festivals where, you know, you go to film festivals, if you lose and you're like, oh, I should have beat that one. And then now you're automatically in a negative space. I was
Mm.
like, I wanted it to just be like, we show films and give people a chance to talk about their films, have people ask them questions. Like, that experience of being in a film festival, having people watch your film and talk to you about it, it's a great experience. It's very rewarding as a filmmaker and helps validate you when a lot of filmmakers really need that validation to be like, I should keep doing this. And then, but the ultimate thing was for it to be a place where all of those little pockets that I saw of film people could ultimately come together. And if like kind of at the front, it's like, hey, stop with the ego, stop with all this stuff, like, or else you're not going to really fit in here. Like, be cool with each other, celebrate each other, network with each other, work with each other, hire each other. It doesn't matter where you come from. Just, you know, we're all in this together, and this is the only way Sacramento can have any type of chance of getting any recognition or bigger productions coming here and things like that is by having a community that actually is positive and not toxic. You know,
Yeah.
so that's the ultimate goal, and now it's growing more and more and more.
Yeah, no, very cool. I haven't gone to one yet, but I definitely want to make that'll be on the list.
Yeah, well, we have one in 9 days, so hopefully you can come to that one.
Yeah, and it's monthly, right?
Every month. Yep. Hmm.
Yeah, it's actually it's I think the 29th, right? You said
Yeah. Is
nine
that your
days. That's
birthday?
that's my birthday. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So maybe not that one, but
Yeah,
I will
yeah.
do one soon.
Sweet.
Because we did have our like for the viewers who are unaware,
Mm.
to the millions of viewers listening right now, um, yeah, we had our film play. Was it when was that, Owen? When did our
I think it was
I Study
July.
People? July.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so that was cool, and it was cool to see because I know Owen, like it's just cool because I wasn't there, but it is, you're right, it's a very good experience to just hear about what people think about your movie, and to, you know, just have people talking about it. So I remember like when Owen was watching it, I was like, I kept texting him like every 2 seconds, like, oh, are people laughing, are they like gasping, or like what are they doing, like what do they say, did someone say it sucked or something, like I'm just very like wanting to know. So I definitely like think that that's a very valuable experience. Yeah, there in our area in Sacramento, like there's a couple festivals here. But yeah, I mean, there's not really anything like what you're doing, which I think is really cool. So yeah, I really do recommend like checking out Modest. I think that's a great resource that you started around here. So thank you for that. That's cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course.
absolutely. And something also that I did really like about Modest when I went is that you had the Q&As for the filmmakers right after their movie played.
Hmm.
Because a lot of the times when you go to festivals, it's like, okay, we sit, watch this block of like 8 movies for
Hmm.
like 2 hours or however long it ends up being, and then all 8 directors or whatever producers go up and then they do the Q&A, and by that point everyone has forgot every single movie.
Yeah.
If it's, unless it's either really memorable, which is like good, that's what you want to strive for, or it's like the 7th or 8th one that played. Um, but the way you do it, it is really awesome because it gives each filmmaker like kind of their time to get actual feedback on their projects, and also it allows like for the people in the audience, they remembered because they literally just saw the movie, so if they have any specific questions about it, they don't have to like write them down on their phone. They literally
Hmm.
just get the Q&A right there.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's very intentional. So I appreciate you recognizing that because that's from a life of going to film festivals and experiencing it exactly like that.
Yep.
And then be like, this is ridiculous. Like, no one will remember. Like, if you're the last film, you're the luckiest filmmaker, pretty much, in the film
Yeah.
festival,
Yeah.
in those blocks, because you're the one that they remember the most, right? And yeah, like to me, this is far more for the experience for the filmmakers, for them to have a chance to have that experience, and then also, yeah, for the audience. I think it is engaging because I think most people come to Modest for these interactions. They are trying. Everyone's trying to learn. They're trying to connect, and they're trying to see what other people here are making. So I think it
Mhm.
is really beneficial for those Q&As to like go the way they go. Um, and then uh, and then yeah, we now have something new that wasn't there when you were there. So sorry, but we started this. Um, there's been four, I think four films now or three that have received what we call the Modest Film Fund.
Yep, I was there
And
when that was there.
now, oh, you were? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So it, for those who don't know, we take the vast majority of ticket sales and we put it into a fund. And one of the filmmakers from that night gets to receive that fund. But the criteria is they have to use that for a film that they make for the following month.
Mhm.
And so it automatically gets played the next month. And the whole challenge is, again, talking about challenges, is you have to make a film within a month. And it's pretty much me saying, taking my experience of the 52 saga in a way of being like, you can make things without it having to be so big. You can
Yeah.
make something just to make it because you all need experience. So it's like, let's be real, like no one here in any of these places should be like, I'm good, I'm done. Like I'm done getting experience as a filmmaker. I don't need more. It's like everyone does. And it's kind of my subtle way of being like, great, you made that film, now go make another one. Now go make another one after that, and another one. Like that's how you get better at this. And I think for a lot of places like like Sacramento, where there's not a big art hub, it's important to talk about quality, like what is good, what's not good, and to be okay knowing like maybe your stuff's not very good yet, but it can if you work toward that. If there's if the ceiling of quality is really low, the possibilities of people rising up is really hard because everyone just thinks, oh, okay, I did it, yeah, I'm great now. But it's like, no, you just made one film. Like you should not be thinking you can now go make a feature. Like you need to put in the reps, just like anything else in life. You can't expect someone to go learn the piano by playing one day, even if it is like 4 or 5 hours. They're not going to be playing in a concert hall the next day. It's just not reality. So why do you think that you can just make one film and then now you're set to be an expert at this for the rest of your life? And so I'm trying to push people to get better, to recognize their skill level. What are you good at? What are you not good at? And how do you get better at it? And so the fund is a way to kind of keep pushing people to make more and then connect with the community to help them. And then we try to help them as best as we can, resource wise, of like, hey, if you're struggling to make your film, just call on us and we'll help you. But what's cool is like no one's needed that so far. Like they've received the money, like because I would tell them like, hey, this is how much you have for the fund. Is never the same number because it's all based off of ticket sales every month. So we take a small percentage to pay for all of our fees and a tiny bit left over to pay for extra little stuff like snacks and stuff, and then literally the rest just goes to the filmmaker. So they know maybe they'll get like $200 or 180 or something like that, and then they know what they could put that toward. But they've all been able to just make something. Um, and then, yeah, so I actually thought people would be calling on our resources a lot more, but they haven't been. So it just proves that people can be doing this. Just like when you were saying you can make something in a month, you can.
Yeah.
And then this is
Yeah.
the extra push.
Hey, wait, real quick. If you're enjoying this episode, do me a favor, scroll down a little bit, hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps us out in knowing that we're on the right track with these episodes. Yeah, also, even if like they're not directly calling on your resources, like I guarantee that they are bringing people that they met at Modest onto the crew for the next film that they're doing. So even though it's not a direct, it is still an indirect way. And like something I really found, I mean, first of all, Modest Film, fantastic idea. Like you are definitely helping a lot of people make more stuff with that. When I first heard it, at first I was kind of confused about the 1 month rule. Obviously, I know you of course you have a reason behind it, but for me, it was like if I were to win the fund, for example. By the way, it's also great how you do it at random instead of just who can bring the most friends to the festival.
Oh yeah, no way.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. But at first, when I heard that, I was like, wait, why can't I just take this and put this toward my next big short film? Like, just kind of make up a little bit of that budget back. But that's absolutely not the point of what you're trying to encourage with this.
Well, also it's hard to track that. If we just gave you
Yeah.
money and you said you're going to go make something, and then it takes you 3 years to make it, like we don't
Yeah.
see anything. The whole point is it cycles back into the community. So like that's why the people have to be local to make it, because we need to know they're actually using this money for a purpose. And we do it like a grant where you have to show receipts of purchase that's like related to your film. It can be about anything connected to the film, but we just need to see that you actually spent this money and we give it back. And that's also to
Oh, sure.
train filmmakers about grant money and like, you know, if you get money from funds and things like that, almost always it's a reimbursement, meaning you have to spend money to like get your money back. And so we're treating it the same way, but it's also again to make sure people aren't just like taking the money and running, because the whole point is to nurture filmmakers in that way. So we
Yeah.
we kind of have to limit it in the way we have, but it keeps the cycle going. Right now we screen 6 films every month, and one of the 6 is from the fund, and so then it just keeps it going each month.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just out of curiosity, what is the biggest category of expenditures that you reimburse with the fund? Is it crew food?
Food, yeah.
Yeah, that was my guess.
Food and props.
Yep.
Yeah, Amelia for this month had a bunch of props, but yeah, it's almost always food,
Yeah, that food and
which
props were
is
my biggest guesses.
smart to do. If you can't pay, at least feed. That's always the way to do it, right?
Uh,
So people are doing it right.
Absolutely. Going back to the 52 challenge for one quick second, because I did have another question that I wrote down. What was the biggest thing that you think you learned from the challenge?
Biggest thing I learned from it.
Mm-hmm.
My level of perfectionism needs to like slow down a little bit. Like sometimes I would drive myself a little too crazy trying to be perfect. But when you don't have the time or the resources, you can't expect that of yourself, because like a lot of times I'd be making a film and then I would finish it before the 52 saga and maybe not be very happy about it because it's like, oh, I could have done this or could have done that. And I have to be very realistic with myself about my expectations. Where it's like, okay, if you don't have a budget, if you don't have all these things, you can't expect yourself to be great, and you can't make yourself think that you need to be that, you know, to feel like you're good as a filmmaker. So yeah, I really started to realize, like, wait a minute, like I've been setting too high of expectations for myself, and so then I kind of pulled back and like was easier on myself, kinder to myself as a filmmaker, as a person, you know, and that was really helpful to me. Um, and Yeah, and then in the end, I ended up making a final short film called The Influencer Academy, actually, and it was supposed to be the number 52, but we had a crazy fluke thing happen with our camera, and it couldn't end up being the number 52. So this one I was planning to make as the final film wasn't able to, so I ended up having to do a completely separate film as like a recap of all the rest of the films, as almost like a learning experience of like, this is actually a perfect example for like what the 52 number 52 should be, because I thought it was going to be this big, great, awesome thing, and ended up just being like a recap of 51 films. And it was like, but that's actually cool how it turned out that way, because it's like you shouldn't expect all this greatness from yourself and all these you know, you should be able to appreciate what you did, and enjoy the experience along the way. There's an anime, Hunter x Hunter, if you guys know Hunter x Hunter.
Heard of
um,
it.
yeah, the final episode, one of the very last lines of it, won't say exactly who says what or whatever, but it's pretty much talking about like, you know, it's not the end goal, it's like the people you meet along the way that makes the difference. And like the experiences toward that goal is what really matters. And that really was like what my end result was for myself. And then ended up making like a pretty epic short. It's a 9-minute single take film with like 40 actors in one room. And so it's pretty epic what I was able to do, because I pretty much called upon as many people from all of the previous 51 films and try to get as
Mm.
many of them in this as possible. Even on the crew end of things too, so as many people that were helping were in it, and it turned out really, really well. It was pretty awesome. So like that was like my biggest reward. Honestly, it was ending with something that big.
Very cool. Real quick, this is completely off topic, but I just checked your Instagram. It says you're a NCAA tennis champion.
I am, yes.
How how is your has your tennis influenced your filmmaking at all?
Has my tennis influenced my filming?
Like
And probably.
anything you learned from like practice or discipline,
I
stuff like that,
mean,
you think?
yeah, consistency. Like it's Tennis is all about consistency. You're hitting just tens of thousands of balls throughout the entire life to like, and then you're still maybe making mistakes after you've done it a million times, and you have to be okay with that. Um, yeah, it's definitely been a correlation of like kind of similar to what I'm talking about. Is like the repetition. You have to put in the reps to feel even to feel like you're doing well for yourself first, and then if you actually want to show stuff to the world, you got to put in the experience. And so, yeah, you have to work hard. Like I'm fortunate because my dad's a tennis coach, and so my dad instilled a lot of really good wisdom in me as to what it takes to succeed or to do well. He's also a very fair coach. There's like, unfortunately, there's a lot of tennis coaches in the world that like tell their students to cheat. It's crazy. Is like especially like tons of sports. Like they're really just trying to get their kids and their students to like the next level. They're all telling them to cheat. They're all cheaters out there. It's horrible how many corrupt coaches there are in the world, not in just tennis, but in like all sports. Because it's like the goal is to get them to get a college scholarship, and then to get them to the next phase. So they're going to do whatever they can to get them there. And so it's not right, but they do it. And whereas my dad was like, nope, no matter what, if it's out, it's out. If it's in, it's in. And he will even correct us. And he's off the court. I remember as a kid, he would be like, "No, that was in." I was like, "Are you kidding me? Was it?" But I couldn't really be mad at him because I knew his intentions. I knew, it's to be fair, and he instilled fairness in me at a young age, and I've incorporated that into my life a lot. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
tennis has played a big part in my life.
How do you cheat in tennis?
Yeah, I was
I'm
about to
curious
ask
now.
that too.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Well, there's lines, and like if the ball bounces on the line, it's in. But the ball goes so fast that it could look like, if this is a line and the ball bounces like right here, really fast, and boom, boom, boom. You might not see exactly where it hit, but like
Mm.
it's clear. So people would see it in like bouncing on the line, but then they would call it out because it was close enough, and they can kind of try to get away with it. But often causes conflict because then you'll be like, "What? No, that was in," and you start getting arguments and stuff. But
Mm.
I mean, they would teach them how to cheat. They would like try to block their body where the ball landed so that you can't even see where it landed and call it out. I've seen all sorts of stuff throughout my entire life of it. So it's kind of easy to cheat if you're a shitty person. So yeah, but
Makes
don't
sense.
cheat.
Yeah. No, I mean, I only asked that because like I think that a lot of creatives have other like hobbies and they have other interests and stuff. And I think that like you're always sort of no matter what you're doing, you're kind of always building towards I feel like you can definitely like if you when you're playing tennis, I feel like you're because of the discipline and stuff and just like the doing that, you're sort of also improving your filmmaking a little, not in like the direct way, but like I feel like just always being, it puts you in this maybe a similar mindset here and there. So I think that it's good. Like I play guitar and stuff, and I try to have like different outlets, and I feel like even if I'm not doing anything filmmaking wise, if I'm doing something like with guitar or vice versa, I feel like it kind of improves both in some ways. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's kind
Oh
of
yeah.
that's the way I look at it.
Oh,
Um,
I'm always looking for correlations to things like that. Like Dungeons and Dragons, like that's actually like really, really helpful as a creative, as a writer, because it's a completely separate creative writing outlet, but with completely different rewards. And it's really, and it's like acting, it's like improv. So, you
yeah.
could easily see the correlations there. And for me, that was a big thing because you can write a script. I've written like what 7 8 feature scripts at this point in my life, and one got made into a feature. All the rest are just sitting around waiting, and all that time I spent writing those scripts are kind of just like, well, nothing's going on, whereas D&D, you write it and it comes to life instantly, so it was very quickly rewarding, doesn't have as much longevity, but it's different. And I love that because then it's like it's nurturing that part of my creativity in that type of way. So, and yeah, exactly, just like tennis, there's all sorts of ways you can correlate things if you just look at it correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I want to talk about for a little bit your production company.
Sure.
Is that what you do full time?
Yeah. Yeah. I have
Uh,
2 companies right now, technically. Yeah, I have 2 different production companies.
So, what type of, I guess, content do you shoot?
Yeah, so we at the Film Squad we produce videos for mostly healthcare companies, but kind of anyone that needs consistent content. The industry's changing quite a lot right now. A lot of vertical content now, and not as much like quote unquote. And we have to say horizontal compared to just normal,
You're
because
right.
like
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
world's different now. Everything's on the phone.
Hmm.
So yeah, we do a lot of that for my production company, and then I have a second company which is called Promise and Soul. That's all weddings. So we do wedding
Hmm.
photos and videos at that company. That's actually how I started. I started my production company with weddings 2014,
Hmm.
and then that kind of took off. And we were doing like 30 weddings a year, and that was my way to like quickly train me and my team to be better videographers slash filmmakers. Because I saw a lot of bad weddings, and so then bad wedding videos, and I was like, well, I could do better than that at least, and that's important for someone, and so then
Hmm.
that's how that happened, and eventually I needed to like branch them into do two different companies because people would get confused if we're doing weddings and suddenly we're on a commercial shoot and stuff like that. So that's why there are two separate companies. Yeah, that's what I do.
Awesome. Yeah. Do you think that working like as in the video production as your full-time thing hampers your motivation to make films?
That's great. Yeah, for years it was tough. For a long time it was tricky. When I started my company in 2014, I went really hard at it and then was doing well. But then 2017 hit, and I woke up one random morning. I still remember being like in a panic, like I haven't made a film for 3 years, and it literally was like that. It just went by so quick. And I was like, my whole goal with starting a production company was like to eventually make films through the production company. I would own my own equipment, et cetera, have all this experience, have a team, but it just didn't work out that way. You have to keep running your company, and you're spending all your time in your company. You don't give yourself time, and so I panicked. I wrote a script in like 2 hours, and I went out the next week and shot in LA and made this film, and it was great. But yeah, I did that because I was like freaking out that I wasn't doing it. And so, yeah, it's been a challenge balancing both. And you you can't be hard on yourself. Like I have a history of being very hard on myself of like, oh, I'm not doing enough as a filmmaker. It's always that. It's always like I'm not doing enough. But I learned over time, like the more you do that, you actually hinder yourself even more because
Mm.
you have to be realistic just of your scenario. And I try to remind myself of like Ang Lee's story. If you know of Ang Lee, he didn't really kind of break in until after he hit 40, and he had these stories of like he would be working on sets every day, like 12-hour days, and he'd come home and write one page of his script. And so then in 3 months, he would have one script, 90 days.
Mhm.
And that's what he had the availability to do. And he was going to quit. But then it was his wife that actually said, like, if you can go into like computer science or whatever, but then you won't be happy for the rest of your life if you did that. And so is his wife that actually like pushed him to keep being a filmmaker. And then he eventually became Ang Lee. And
Mm.
so, like things like that are good reminders for me of like you have to find your balance and choose your time wisely. So I try to be a lot more organized nowadays and try to be very methodical with what I say yes to because I kind of have a lot going on, and so it's easy to not do what you want to do. So yeah, you have to balance it. It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because that kind of tension is something that I've been talking about for a while on the show. Just kind of like if you want to make films as the end goal, if you want to be a full-time director, full-time DP, full-time producer, whatever, is it smart to create a video production company to get a job in the video production industry? Because I mean, I've told the story 1,000 times. Like that's just what happened to me. It's like I kind of used to do video production full time, but now I'm kind of pivoting to a little bit more of like a white collar professional field. Um, in terms of like day job, and I'm still doing like video production part time and stuff, but I think at least for me it would be a better decision to make the money doing something else uh while keep working at on like solely films on the side until that either goes somewhere or it doesn't.
hmm I think everyone's different. I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. I think it's dependent on you and what you need. Because yeah, you if you have the capability to work a quote unquote normal job and then allocate your time wisely toward your films, and you know you can achieve what you want that way faster and better, then go for it. And plus, freelance is hard. Freelance is very difficult, especially right now, especially with AI, especially with the
Hmm.
economy. It's hard. It's hard to balance everything. And then also the film industry is at like technically like the worst it's ever been as far as like breaking in. Like it's absolutely horrible right now. And so if you really want a career in the film industry, you have to be 1 billion% certain that's what you want. And you have to come up with a plan as to how to break through. And I'm in a lot of conversations right now about exactly that and like making changes for what the industry is and how to actually have a career in it. Like it's not easy. You have to be kind of clever and you have to think of alternate ways to kind of get in however you want. So yeah.
Why do you think it's so hard to break into the film industry right now?
Oh man, how many hours we got?
Infinite.
Yeah. What? God. Okay. I mean, you start with the lack of attention span. You start with how everyone's on their phones now. When you talk about media and marketing, how you have to keep people's attention within the first 2 3 seconds. People say 3 seconds is not true. It's not 3 seconds because this is much faster than 3 seconds.
Hmm?
So like people's attention spans are so much less. People aren't going to theaters. Statistically, it's at the lowest, like 29%, or I forgot what it was, but no one's going to movies anymore. People think movies are too long. If they are going to movies, it has to be action packed. It has to like remind people of the plot. Like Matt Damon said something about. I saw this article almost, I think yesterday or whatever. Like I forgot which studio was saying. Oh no, Netflix was saying you have to write
Yeah.
in the plot multiple times throughout the film because people are on their phones when they're watching the films and they need to be constantly reminded of what the story is that they're watching. It's like this is so stupid.
Yeah.
So that Netflix is buying Warner Brothers is also very, very bad for the film industry because now like less films are going to be in theaters, and already the amount of films that are in theaters are so small that it's only like the big studios that get them in. Maybe every now and then A24 gets a few films in, but that's also just them and then the big studios. So if you are an independent filmmaker, you're making a feature, how are you trying to think of theatrical? You pretty much can't. You have to try to get into streaming, and then also distribution is very difficult to break into. Like the ceiling for fees are very high as far as like if a distribution company buys your film, they're going to have so many fees that you're never even going to see profit. They're going to maybe you'll make back some of your budget, but it's very hard to get paid back after a while. Not no one's buying movies at Sundance or at the American film market anymore. Like that's at an all-time low, because again the industry is like that. So then not as many people are investing in films because it's now even more risky. So I mean, like you go down the line, I can go on and on and on of like just why it's so hard to be a filmmaker now, to make films. If you're not in like the upper echelon, you need either very, very famous people or really, really big money to make something. And if you don't have that, you have to be realistic about your expectations. Even if you make it into a film festival, like film festivals are supposed to be a launching point. That's what film festivals are supposed to be. They're supposed to help you. They're supposed to be a resource. They're not supposed to be there to just give you an award and shake your hand, you're done. Like they're supposed to help you to the next phase. That's what Kevin Smith did. That's what like back in the day with Clerks. Like that's how people would make a short, and it would be a proof of concept that they could make a feature, and then get the funding for it, et cetera, et cetera. And it would work that way. Now it's all about celebrities. It's all about fame. It's all about money. You go to Sundance, every movie there has got an A-lister, B-lister practically, and it's not independent. Like the whole conversation of indie films is just everything outside of the major studios. Well, that's bullshit technically because there's so many studios that are big that aren't just the top five anymore, but those top five control so many of those other subsidiary uh, companies too. So like
Yeah.
like again, I can go on and on, but like it's the proof is in the pudding of like the statistics show that these numbers are low. It's not just opinions; the world's showing it. And then when you even think about the type of content, the type of films people ingest and watch, are not what they could have been in the past. Like I always make this one correlation of Kramer versus Kramer. If you guys have seen Kramer versus Kramer, this is a classic movie, but it's slow,
Mhm.
very slow, like wide shots, camera on sticks, like people walking, talking through the scene, and just that. It's just slow conversation, dramatic, sad. That film would never get made today. Never get made. Even with Meryl Streep and Dustin Hoffman, it would never get made because it's so slow. People wouldn't have the attention span for it. And that actually is like really detrimental to society when you think about that people don't have time to pay attention. And so now it changes what types of films people can make because now you're having to think like, oh, would people, if you are the type of filmmaker that loves long takes and loves like sitting and letting characters like evolve within the scene and taking your time with it, do you think that the audience out in the world right now would watch that? So it's tricky what the film industry is, but and I say all of it not to be like disheartening, but to be
Mm.
realistic. If you're not realistic to what the industry is, you're going to keep doing like, the wrong things, and you're going to be setting yourself up for failure. You need to understand what the industry is doing to know how to break in and how to do well within it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a weird. It definitely is a weird time because I would argue that I think it seems very easy to break in. I mean, not that it seems like it is, but like because you have, social media now, you can kind of get a lot more people to see your films. And so I think a lot of people are just sort of like, oh, I'll make a film and then it will go viral, and then I will get, Timothy Chalamet will call me and say, I want to be in your next movie. I'm
Yeah,
not saying that's like what everyone's trying to do, but that's it. It does
yeah,
like there is you can get right now you can get a lot of people to see your movie. Like if you upload a video, a good short film to YouTube, you could get like a couple thousand views on it, which is like really cool. But at the same time, it's like everyone is kind of trying to do that, and so it's really hard to like really stand out because there's just such a influx of people trying to do the same thing. So it is like a blessing and a curse, and like with all the stuff you said too, like yeah, it's changing. And who knows where it's going to go? And you didn't even mention AI really that much either, and that's a whole thing as well.
yeah. But
Infinite, whatever, but we'll see.
AI is more of a resource. I don't think anyone's actually scared of AI. I made a little short thing like last week or the week before because I was talking to someone that was like scared about AI in the creative world, and I
Mhm.
was like, it's not any harm to you. Watch. And I literally like had AI make a film, and it was like the
Oh yeah, I saw
dumbest,
that.
the worst thing ever. It's so stupid. It doesn't make any sense,
Yeah,
right? I was like, see, this is what you're scared of. Like, this doesn't have the capability that you have. This is, if anything, it should prove to you why you should go make stuff because you don't want people doing this kind of crap, right?
right.
So, yeah, I see people using AI as the resource. Like, if you heard of Tyler Perry's studio, he was supposed to be making like a $2 billion studio or something like that, and then he put an entire halt to it because he learned about what AI could do. And I think I
Oh,
actually
really?
don't know. Yeah, I don't remember what ended up happening with that, but it was like a big deal. I think this was
Hmm.
last year or something like that. But yeah, about it being a resource. But I don't think people are seeing AI as like a problem of entry though. Like, so I think maybe that's probably not why I'm not really talking about it because I don't think that's why people can't make films.
Right.
If anything, maybe it's helpful, but like it's not. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I saw I think Ben Affleck saying that he thinks that with AI in terms of screenwriting, it's going to go for the average. It's going to go for the most average, like it's going to go for the middle ground, the most safe like thing it can make because
Yep.
it's taking all this stuff, all the data that it knows, and it's putting it into like this average sort of, it just compiles it into like this average mess of whatever.
Yeah.
And that a human, when they're writing their script, they're kind of going to go all out. Like you're going to go as far as you can, and
Hmm.
you're going to make everything as perfect as possible, and you're going to do things,
Hmm.
you're going to push things beyond that average if you want to make a good script.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good take too, and I think that some people, I think some people are definitely afraid in that way of like, okay, well, it could generate a script or whatever, but I do agree, like it is going to go for the most average thing possible.
Yeah. I actually use it to test out what I shouldn't do in a script. I've done that multiple times. It's awesome. Literally, I was like, what do you think? And it's always cliches, all this stuff. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, great. Don't go that way.
Mm-hmm.
Time to not do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, literally. It's a great example of what not to do, that's for sure. Yeah.
It's actually really funny and probably a really good idea for a lot of writers.
Yeah, I tested it out because I was like trying to figure out a plot to my latest feature, and I was like, okay, I know the heart of it. I know what I'm trying to do. It's like I can't figure this out, and I was like, I wonder what it thinks I'm supposed to do. And it literally took like all these like yeah like cliches from like almost like the 90s of how to like have the character arc go, and like again like it's just regurgitation. But yeah, once I did that one time as just like a curiosity thing, then it's like now every time I'm like I'm stuck and I'm trying to figure out what to do, I literally put stuff in there, and then it helps filter out bad thoughts, bad ideas, and then I'm able to actually be like, okay, now don't think of this way, think of that. So that's what I'm saying. It's like you can use it to your benefit, even if it's bad at what it's trying to do.
Yeah. I think I did that one time. I had like a script that was maybe, like 3 or 4 pages from being done. And then just seeing, I was like, hey, finish the script for me. And then it just gives me like, it was such a confusing ending. It was like
Yeah.
basically this character, because the main character, he's being like, he's like being beat up the whole time, and he's like kind of being like basically tortured. And then the guy who is like his captor, at the end, it's like the AI was like, the captor goes up to the main character and he says, "You know what? I forgive you." And then he like lets him go. And then they like go to like a diner or something. And then like I don't even know. It was like really weird. I was like, why would that be the ending? Like the whole story is very like dark and grim, and then it gives it like this weird like fairy tale ending. It was super funny.
That's
Absolute
weird.
cinema.
Cinema.
Yeah, what it thinks it is. Yeah, it's trying to play Pulp Fiction on you. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the thing too, is like, yeah, it's gonna go for, like it's gonna look at the top 10 most popular scripts of all time, and then like just try to take different elements of it and then throw it into your thing, which just
Yeah.
never works.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I
think
agree.
the important thing with AI is to not be reliant on it. It's easy
Yeah.
to sometimes when like it's convenient, it's super convenient for a lot of things, right? But if you're reliant on it as a creative, now you're letting out what you're actually very good at, which is, your human nature of knowing what's right and wrong, what to say. So I think that's the best tip I could at least give people from my experience with AI is just like, just don't use it as a crutch, use it as a helpful tool when necessary. That's it.
I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
I think,
Well,
Jeff,
awesome.
before we wrap this up, I always kind of like to ask this question for anyone with all of your experience with your 52 films, with your modest, with your features that you've made. Is there like one thing that you think somebody listening to this podcast, a young filmmaker, one thing that they should take away from this episode? What do you think it should be?
One thing to take
Uh,
away.
Obviously, very, very broad, but
Yeah.
if there's
No,
anything that
sure.
you think people should know.
Um, I mean, like when I've been at film festivals, you usually get this question a lot of like, what advice would you give to a young filmmaker?
Yeah.
And like the easiest advice, which is technically the best, is just to make films. It's very simple just to say it, right? But it really is the truth of it all. Is like if you want to be good as a filmmaker, you need to make a lot of films, not just one. You need to make a lot and test yourself. And what is your voice? Like, what are you trying to say? What's your style? What's your aesthetic? What makes you special in when you're making your films? Everyone has something that makes them special. It could just be the way you write or the way you think or the way you see it. Doesn't have to be. You don't have to be Wes Anderson. You don't have to have a literal aesthetic in that way. But at least find something that you're proud of. That way, you can keep being happy making what you're making, and you keep getting better. So like the tip of like the art of stealing, kind of thing of how,
Mhm.
everyone's like stealing from each other kind of thing is it's true, but don't try so hard to steal from others. Like find your own voice, and keep creating with what that voice is because it is special, whatever it is.
Awesome.
Great.
Yeah, that was amazing, Jeff. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate all your insight, all your information. If anybody watching wants to find you, any projects you're working on, where can they do that?
Sure. Yeah. On Instagram, I'm pretty active on Instagram. It's Jeff the Hapa, HAPA. And then with my production company, it's the Film Squad. And for both of those, the websites are the exact same. So my filmmaking website is jeffthehoppa.com, and you can watch most of my shorts there. The 52 Saga is all on YouTube. And that's so if you go to my Instagram, you can click on my YouTube channel right there, and you can watch all the 52 films there. And then once you start scrolling through my Instagram, you'll start to see all the trailers for all of the 52 films every single week too. So yeah, and that's where all my stuff is. And then Modest Film Society is just also that Modest Film Society on Instagram. Eventually, we'll have a website. Eventually, we'll have more. It's all volunteer based right now, but we are actually working right now to get grant funding and to get some extra funds to really help us grow bigger and to have more of a presence everywhere. And yeah, so hopefully people will come out to Modest and then keep making your films.
Awesome. And then we'll link all those in the description and the show notes. If anyone watching or listening is interested, go check those out. If you want to check me out on Instagram, I'm at owencard.dp. Jake, where are you?
I'm at Jake Rossabell.
And if you want to check out our last episode with director Wes Clark, who has 24-year-old filmmaker who's done 2 features at this point. That's been on screen for the last 5-ish seconds. So check that out if you want to listen to more of our stuff. And thank you so much for watching. We hope you have an amazing day.